Hello, lovelies. Cory here. Welcome back to Wilder Woman. I apologize for the chaos that you see behind me. But we are almost to the end of the school year. There's a ton going on. I am still broken, as evidenced by the hand, which is actually, it's healing quite well. But this is about as far as I can go with making a fist. So progress still needs to be made. You can see, though, I do have the knee roller still behind me, but there's this cane over here. So I'm starting to hobble around a little bit, but not nearly as much as I would like to. And it's going to take weeks more, maybe even months more yet to get back to 100%. That's just the nature of it. 30 seconds in a collision equals freaking months of healing. It is what it is. Please be careful out there and please wear a seatbelt. Okay. That's the end of my PSA for today. However, what are we here for? We are here to do the Get to Know Your Witches tag. This is a tag that has been going around YouTube for a few weeks now. It was created by Little Cosmic Crow. I will link her video in the description box below. Watched her video, have watched several videos from folks, Ethany, Kellyanne Maddox, Jessica the Story Witch, a ton of folks. And I think Thorn Mooney just posted her video a few minutes ago. So I'm going to watch that after I record this one. I tried to record this last week, got interrupted, things happened, and forgot where I left off. So we're just going to try and re-record this. So this is take 2. Hello. We'll see if we make it through the entire video, shall we? There's 15 questions, and if you haven't done a video yet and would like to, you are officially tagged. So there you go. Question number 1. Does your sun sign portray you accurately? If not, do any of your other planetary placements? My sun is Virgo. I have a Leo rising and Sagittarius moon. I think, yeah, for the most part, my Virgo sun is pretty obvious to people that have a basic understanding of sun signs. I don't have a huge knowledge base of astrology. That's something that I would like to remedy. I have several books on astrology that were just picked up at the beginning of this year that I want to really dive into, but I fell down this hole of traditional witchcraft, and I don't know when I'll be able to get back to looking into astrology. However, sun signs, I feel like there's a lot of information out there, and I do have a really, I don't know if I would say good, I have a decent grasp of what it means to have a Virgo sun. For me, that comes out, I think, more in my work life, in my muggle day job, and also my business. I have spreadsheets for everything. I project plan a lot of stuff. Half of my day job is in project planning, actually, project management. And that's really where the bulk of the Virgo sun just like, bam, hits you in your face. Another aspect that I think people get very strongly of me, I like to be of service. And it's really hard for me to be on the receiving end of any, care, mothering, I guess I would say. It's still something that I'm working on. It's still a bit uncomfortable for me to not be the caregiver and to be in a position of receiving care. So that's another way that the Virgo sun kind of comes through pretty heavily. But yeah, I think I'm a fair portrayal of what it means to have a Virgo sun. What songs bring you the most magical vibes? The majority of videos that I watched, I can't tell you how many videos were like Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, who I love all of them. Tusk. However, I'm obsessed with music. So I come from a position of all music, all songs are magical. And I feel like I can get into a position where I can make almost anything work in ritual space. Like with the kids, when we do circle, a lot of the times we play Disney music to raise energy, and they just act crazy and dance around, and it works. It builds up quite a bit of energy. We've probably used the Moana soundtrack the most because they're obsessed, and I actually really dig it too. But yeah, a lot of Disney songs played in circle in this house. With their dad actually sitting at this computer. He sits outside of circle, and he's basically, I've tasked him with being the DJ. So we cast circle, the kids and I do stuff, and he's just kind of fiddling around on the internet while it goes down. And then I go, okay, play track 12, and he hits the button and he plays it. We raise energy, and he sits there respectfully while it happens. And then, when it's done, he stops the track, or make sure that it doesn't continue on to another song. And yeah, we close everything out, and he goes back to playing video games or reading a book while I clean up. So that's kind of what happens in the Gunn household, just in case you were curious. For me, though, and my, personal work and practice, even if I just want to listen to something that, really gives me a magical boost, this is going to sound weird coming from a pretty diehard pagan, but Gregorian chants. I swear I was like a German monk in a past life, because that stuff just infuses me with life. I have a few CDs from a few different monasteries of chanting, and I love it. Absolutely just love it. Love it more than traditional pagan music, really. I also strongly feel that Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine is a living goddess, and anything that she makes is just so I have been known to play a few Florence and the Machine songs during spell work as well, just FYI. Number 3, which one of your deities, guides, ancestors is most sarcastic with you? If this doesn't apply to you, which of your tarot or oracle decks is? A lot of my guides are just very direct. As far as my, deities that I work with, I wouldn't necessarily say any of them are overly sarcastic. Freyr has an amazing sense of humor, but his personality for me comes across as dad jokes and not necessarily sarcastic. We'll just go with tarot decks. And it's because she created it this way, I'm sure. Ethany's Bad Bitches Tarot. It's very sassy with me when I work with her. And I specifically work with that deck to get that the vibe of this deck, if you don't have it, my God, you need it in your life. It's that, sit down with your girlfriend, she's going to tell you like it is and slap you upside the head if you're being stubborn. So if you ask this deck the same question a few times in a row, you're going to get a bitch, I said what I said response. At least that's what this deck does for me. So, Ethany, thank you. You have hands down created the baddest bitch of a deck that has ever been. Just saying. So, out of all of them, she's probably the sassiest, and I love her dearly for it. Number 4, biggest witchy mess up or misinterpretation. Okay, this isn't really an interpretation. Okay, I would say this is my biggest witchy regret, because I don't have any huge, like, oh, this spell went awry and I fucked up kind of situation. I do have, though, regret from when I did start practicing. So I grew up, like quite a few of us actually who've done this tag, in the 90s, found witchcraft, you know, around the mid 90s, and really dedicated myself to studying it and actually started practicing it in 99. So end of the 90s. But I, you know, came to it the same way that a lot of us did, with the craft and, you know, with books that were cropping up a lot in the 90s. I feel like the 90s really kicked us off in terms of variation of writers and really giving a lot of folks access to information to build a solitary practice. So that's how I rose up into it. And when I started, because I was so young at the time, traditional craft practitioners, I was introduced first to Wicca. And traditional Wicca is practiced in coven format, not necessarily solitary. We didn't really get to see a lot of solitary information until Scott Cunningham started writing about it. Raymond Buckland started writing about it. Then Silver Ravenwolf, who I think a lot of us grew up with, you know, Mama Silver, started writing about it. And then we had a wealth of knowledge. My Virgo sun wanted to have a traditional foundation. So I took a lot of one-on-one classes looking for a coven, and most of the traditional covens out here in San Diego had age caps. You had to be 21 or older. You had to be at least 18 or older. And, you know, my 14, 15, 16-year-old self got very bitter very quickly, and just started closing myself off to public events after I turned 18. I think at that point I was just like, you know, by the time I came of age, it was like, well, fuck you. You know, you wouldn't take me when I started down this road. I had to struggle on my own. I don't need you. And I think I missed out on a lot of really cool connections that I could have made earlier in my craft practice. So the first 10 years were very, very solitary. There were very few public pagan events that I ended up attending because I gave up too quickly. So biggest witchy mess up, really regret, is probably just not participating as much as I feel like I would have really liked to. And because of my own personal hang up. So there you go. Question number 5. Would you write a book on your craft spirituality? Why? And if you already have, what were your biggest challenges in doing so? So I don't know that I would really write a book on my personal craft practice as a whole. It is a goal of mine to write a practical grimoire for the family that's kind of, on the gun tradition, if you will, and then probably get it printed, a few copies printed through like Lulu Publishing, which is just a self, printing company, giving them out to my nephew's cousins, whoever wants a copy, basically. And then having copies bound for my kiddos. And as I said, that's mostly just for practicality, just so that they have access to the information. And it's just, this is the family tradition we've created. There will be a ton of blank pages in the back for us to, people to add and subtract their own stuff, make notes. And then if there's anything they want to share with the rest of the family, again, Virgo sun cropping up, that I'll probably be the gatekeeper for a while to, or I guess the designated editor, I should say, to update the grimoire and then, publish revised copies as needed. I do want to write books. There are a couple of books that I'm in the process of writing. Whether or not I'll self-publish them or not is kind of a different story. It depends on where they end up. But they're not on my personal practice as a whole. One is on working with goddess energy, and the second one is on pendulum magic. So aspects, yes. As a whole, not so much. Question number 6. If someone wanted to summon you to their circle, what 5 items would they need? Item number 1, coffee. Probably coffee. The other 4 items, dark chocolate, 20-sided dice, roll for initiative. What else? You would probably need a tool CD. And let's see, a pendulum, because of course. You can't summon me without a pendulum, just so you know, FYI. Number 7, if you were a ghost, what place would you haunt? I guess it would depend on how I was haunting. So fun haunt, and just out of personal preference, I would want to haunt the Scottish Highlands. They're beautiful. That's just the place where I would want my essence to be forever. So that is my own personal wish. However, if I had enough energy and was going to be like, ooh, like poltergeist haunting, like end up on top 10 most haunted places, in the world type of, a show, I would want to haunt Congress. Because at my core, I think I'm a really evil person. Or let's just say I'm a really vengeful person. So if I were a vengeful spirit, you would find me in DC. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Number 8. What is the funniest way someone has reacted to finding out you're a witch? folks just really haven't had a lot of like humorous reactions. It's more, you know, when I discuss it, because I'm kind of an open book about it, it's, oh, well, wait, what does that mean? I get that question a lot. What does that mean? Because folks want clarity as to, when you say witch, what do you mean by witch? I get that a lot. I do have a funny story, though, about kind of an unintentional, you know, reveal about me being a witch. So for a while, you've seen on this channel, I was subscribed to the Witch's Moonbox. I had to stop it for a while because just really overwhelming. I'm still working through all those herbs. Just saying. They give you so much, you guys. If you're looking for a great witchy subscription box, you know, shameless plug for that, subscribe to the Witch's Moonbox. It is hands down been my favorite. But while I was subscribed, one of my boxes was dropped off at a neighbor's house. And he came to the door and was very like, you know, oh, your box showed up here, blah, blah, blah. And it's, you know, it has who it's from, like, stamped all over the box. And I was like, shit. What kind of neighbor is this to know that I have this witchy subscription box? And so I take the box from him. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Trying to be very, like, low-key about it. And he's being very polite, you know, etc. And, you know, I had my pentacle around my neck as well. And it was a little bit of an awkward exchange for me until the end, where he's like, okay, well, you know, just wanted to drop this off back to you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you. And he goes, marry me. And just turns to walk away. And I was like, oh, marry me. Holy shit. So here I'm having this awkward for me exchange with a neighbor who I didn't know, other than, you know, waving in passing as we walk our dogs, thinking, God, you know, I've scared the straights of the neighborhood already. And he was very, you know, nonchalantly letting me know, hey, you know, I'm one of you. And if this box, you know, ended up at any house, it's a good thing that it ended up in mine. And it was just like, oh, an ally. So that was probably the funniest exchange that I've had, is, you know, introducing myself as a witch to somebody else unintentionally. I had a good laugh on that for a few minutes, and I even texted my husband, was like, you will not believe what just happened. He's like, that's pretty funny. Number 9, do you have any superstitions? I will say, knock on wood, after saying something that's kind of like, you know, not anything that you want to actually happen. Like, oh, I hope that doesn't happen again. Knock on wood. And that's kind of it. I don't know if I have any traditional superstitions. Like, I don't hold my breath going under, you know, through a tunnel. I don't knock on the roof of my car as we pass a cemetery. I'm trying to think of other ones. Yeah, that's no. Short answer for that one. Number 10, if you could possess any fantasy magic, what would your power be? Okay. Fantasy magic. I don't know. I think like anybody who's a fan of the Harry Potter universe, we would all want that to be a reality and attend Hogwarts or some sort of variation thereof. Okay, so I was a huge, still am, X-Men fan. And read the comics as a kid, was introduced to, you know, there were Saturday morning cartoons of the X-Men in the 90s, if you weren't aware. And my cousin had a ton of X-Men figurines, so I'd play with them. Loved all of the core favorites, especially Rogue. So if I had any sort of like fantasy power, it would probably be I would want a mutant ability, and it's a tie really between Scarlet Witch, because she's just got, you know, the most powerful like combo of mutant ability / arcane magic to be able to bend reality, and Rogue, you know, just because with a touch she can siphon off anybody's power to be able to use it. So that's kind of cool. That gives me a lot of flexibility, just saying. Kind of went down a different avenue with that one, but I think you get the idea. Question number 11. What is something random on your altars? I have a lot of weird shit on my altar. Just because I'm very eclectic and I feel like just about anything's magical. I do have a 6-sided die from Q Workshop. They don't make this style anymore, but it is entirely runic. It has all runes. Oh, I should have brought it out here, but it sits on my altar in Frere space because I associate it with him. It's sort of a talisman for me to connect with him and his energy. Yeah, and like I said, it just has, you know, Elder Fury runes all over it. Even the numbers are dashes to kind of keep in with the runic theme. So that is probably something that if somebody were to walk by my working altar to be like, is that fucking die on your altar? Yes, it is. Question number 12. If one of the YouTubers you watched was a genie and they could grant you 3 wishes within their power, who would it be and what wishes? Honestly, I feel like what I would want is to split that up between 3 different YouTubers and just like have an afternoon to hang with them and pick their brain. Although, what 3 YouTubers? This is hard. There's so many. Fudge. Okay, Cory, pick top 3. Ugh. Well, Ethany would probably be the first one just because I'm a member of her Awakened Soul Coven. I love chatting with her and just having an afternoon to just hang and talk about shit would be awesome. Oh boy. Next one, probably Kellyanne Maddox. And that's just because she has such an amazing style, and I get some of the best ideas for going outside of the box with my practice from Kellyanne. We could probably sit there for an entire afternoon and just talk pop culture magic. So I think it would be awesome to just spend an afternoon with her. I would probably have to bribe her with some thrift store shopping, and I would be completely okay with that. Third person. Oh, okay. probably been about when. And my reasoning for that is because not only is she just a badass witch, but her style is on the opposite spectrum of Kellyanne's, where it's very, traditional. Like everything that she does is high magic, ritualistic, very ceremonial. And, juxtaposed between, Kellyanne's very, kind of stylish and modern, way of practicing, that would just be awesome. There are so many folks though. I would love an afternoon with Avalon Cameron. Even if she made me like, I would really be upset about it. But even if she, made me clean like half of her farm in order to earn that afternoon with her, it would be more than worth it. She could have me do all of the chores that she just absolutely hates doing, and it would suck ass, but that afternoon would be worth it. There are just so many. Kelly from The Truth and Story I want to hang out with, Arwen Lynch, Jessica the Story Witch, Brian McCormack. Just our witchy community is just fucking awesome. Our YouTube witchy community. Everybody I would love to have an afternoon with. It would take like a year to get through everybody, but I guess those might be my top 3. But it's that's a hard one. That's a question that I don't know that I could solidly answer. Number 13, if you could instantly become an expert in any part of your craft spirituality, what would it be? I don't know that I personally will ever be an expert 100% on anything. I'm kind of that jack of all trades. I know a little bit about a lot. But if I were to, let's say, become knowledgeable enough to teach on the subject, what would I want to know? Plant magic. That's probably an area like astrology that I'm very, very weak in, and it's always been a goal of mine to get more knowledge. Over the last 3 years, I've explored a lot more through working with essential oils, but I want to get to know about the plants themselves, dive into where they're grown, ways of growing them, because I have a black thumb. I can't keep shit alive unless it's an animal that can like emote to me what it needs. I cannot keep plants alive to save my life. Even succulents are like, you suck. So plant-based magic. I need that in my life, please. Yes, and thank you. Number 14. When you die, what do you think will happen to your soul? I think I subscribe to the idea that what makes up, Cory won't be here anymore. That just kind of returns to the collective, if you will. But that a part of me, my essence, what I guess we consider to be like the soul, that divine spark will, continue on in something else, whether it becomes part of a tree or another human, another life form somewhere. I don't know, but I'm sure it will just, the energy that makes up me will flow into something else, become something new. But the consciousness, my personality won't, it'll just be gone. You know, it'll morph into something completely different. You know, who knows what the hell happens? I do believe in some sort of reincarnation, but I don't fully believe that, you know, my complete consciousness just downloads into another human being. I think that's a little weird. I think that an aspect does move on because, you know, I do have past life memory recall. Now, whether that is memories of folks that a part of me used to be a long time ago, or whether or not I'm tapping into lives and, you know, memories of folks from the collective consciousness, if you will. I don't know. I don't know which one it is. I don't know if it's either of those things. I just know that there are things that I recall as memory that, you know, I really shouldn't be able to, but I have access to those. And I'm grateful for that because they've always, you know, helped me in some sort of way. I've gained lessons from them. But those folks, you know, those personalities as I know them don't exist anymore. You know, they had their lifetime and they're gone. So I imagine that the same thing will happen to me. You know, I'll be here for however long I'm here. You know, I hope it's for at least another 50 years. If not, you know, I had a good run. And yeah, we'll move on into something else. Hopefully something meaningful. And that will leave a positive impact on the world. Last question, guys. Number 15. Where do you see yourself spiritually in the next 5 years? So I mentioned that I have been studying a lot of traditional witchcraft, purchased a lot of indie books recently, and am, you know, slowly but surely making my way through those. Really excited about the information that I'm picking up and how it's going to influence my practice. At some point, like I said, I do want to dive more into astrology. I imagine at some point I'm going to be looking into the Golden Dawn as well. I did sign up to be a student in the online area of Temple of Witchcraft, or just the Temple. It's co-founded by Christopher Penczak, whose books I have adored for years. In fact, I do have his first 3 volumes in his Temple of Witchcraft series, which are core, you know, books in studying at the temple. So I'm really excited about that. There are 5 levels. I don't know that I would get through all 5. Let's see how level 1 goes. Which is basically a year and a day of study for the temple. And I hope, you know, to still be involved with them to some degree in the next 5 years, but we'll see where it takes me. Every couple years, I go through this kind of shakeup or rebirth, if you will. A lot of my magic is based on transformation. So I myself go through a personal transformation every few years, which is really kind of, you know, visible in how I practice craft. So it's kind of a hard question for me to answer, but I imagine that I will still be a solitary practitioner, but hopefully a lot more involved in the witchy and pagan communities, involved in, you know, working with the temple. Hopefully we'll have gone to at least one, if not multiple temple fests at that point. And hopefully even other conventions too. I would love to get a lot more involved in the larger community rather than just going to public gatherings here in San Diego. San Diego is really big. There's 3 million people in the county, but the community is still small town feel. So you just see the same folks over and over and over again at these holidays. And I love y'all. But I need to branch out and start talking to some new people. Just saying. And that was it. That was the wrap up of my responses to the Get to Know Your Witches tag. Cannot wait to see your videos. If you would like to, please leave a link to your video in the comments below so that I can check it out if I haven't done so already and leave you guys some love. I hope you enjoyed this video and cannot wait to see you in the next one, loves. Okay, until then, blessed be.